Hey, what's up everybody? Got another knife here for you. And this is kind of go on a little bit of a different realm, I guess, from what some of the videos have been previous to this. And I don't know, forget the last 3 videos I did that were on, Swiss Army and trade and all my dad's old knives. That was kind of just a totally off segment, just something that was cool with knives, and he had lent them to me to, to kind of take pictures of and make some videos of and look over. But getting back to my own knife collection, if you'd seen the previous videos I've done, most of them have been either mid-techs or semi-customs or customs, depending on your idea of what a custom is, for the most part. But what we have here is I've kind of departed from that a little bit and ordered a number of production knives. And more specifically, the production knives are ones that are production knife versions that have been licensed out by very well-known makers. And the first one we have here is the Zero Tolerance 0600, also known as the RJ Martin. And what this is, it's a knife that Zero Tolerance licensed out from, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the knife myself. I just got it today, so I'm just kind of checking it out as well. But it's a knife that Zero Tolerance licensed design from RJ Martin on. And what it's based off of, or what they say it's based off of, is the Q36, which is seemingly his flagship model. Now there are a number of differences of this production version to his custom version. But first, let's just take an overall look at the knife. Right off the bat, it's a very large knife. And I may actually need to back up a little bit. I thought it was too far out because it looked kind of far away, but really you need the whole room to get the whole knife in the frame. First impressions of this is that it's very good quality. Now, this is an expensive production knife. You could probably, well, you can definitely get a number of mid-techs for the price of what this knife is, and depending on where you got it from, the price varies. I've seen these as low as $340 on some sites, but all those sites seem to be sold out or said pre-order with no expected date of delivery. And I've seen these as high as $500, which seem to be not the best sites, ones that either got them first and then jacked up the price or something like that, just because there was somewhat of a limited availability on these. For the most part, they're listed at $425. I think that's what Zero Tolerance lists them at, and then depending on the stores you go to, the discounts range. Usually your good dealers, if this is listed at $425, they're probably selling it for right at $400 or so. But there is a range, and depending on where you get it from, it can range. The knife itself is heavy, and I'll go over the stats in a minute, but I kind of want to just have you guys get an overall look at it, and then we'll talk about the differences from it and the actual custom version. I like the milling on here. I like the backspacer. I know some guys are more standoff people and some are more backspacer people, but the Q36 does have a full backspacer, so this matches up with that idea. The action is nice on this, and we'll get into that too. It's not the same as a RJ Martin Q36 custom. I haven't ever handled one, but I've been looking at a lot of videos of them lately and things either on Instagram or YouTube, and I can tell you it does not look the same when you flip this thing out as far as the action or speed on it. So, lock up on it is pretty nice, especially for production knife. You can see right about 40% there. And it's always been there, no matter if you whip it out hard or whip it out lightly, it's pretty much right on that spot. The other cool thing is that if you look in here, if we can get the light right, we might have to look from the other side. There is a steel lock bar insert on the lock bar itself, so it's not the titanium right against there. There is a lock bar or a lock insert. Yeah, you can see it better there. See that little piece grooved out, and that both helps reduce the wear on the blade when the lock bar goes into place by it being steel on steel instead of titanium on steel, and it also is sticking out, so it's a lock bar stabilizer. So wait for this to unfocus. When you go to open it, you can't overextend it. It's stopping it on the inside there. But here's some of the information on it. This knife is bigger than the Q36. That's probably right off the bat the biggest thing. It's a pretty large knife. You're looking at an overall length of 9.5 inches. You're looking at a blade length here of 4.25 inches, and you're looking at a blade thickness of 0.19. So it's actually a very thick blade. That besides the size of the knife and probably the weight of it, the blade thickness is what really surprised me. I mean, this is a thick looking blade. It's got some weight to it too. I mean, obviously the weight on the knife, let's see here, you're looking at, I don't know if it lists the weight, yeah, 7.3 ounces on this knife. So it is hefty. You have the hollow grind on the blade. It's a drop point on the blade type. It's got the Stonewash, and they didn't over ZT this thing up as far as what I think. They just put the tiny little ZT here. The backside is the information on the knife itself, that it's the R.J. Martin design, the series number 600, the serial number 67, and then the blade steel, which is the other thing that's interesting about this. It's a B75P. The handles are titanium. I'm assuming the backspacer is titanium. It doesn't feel that this is any heavier than the rest of it, so I'm assuming this is the weight, that this is the titanium too, as well as the 2 scales. And then it has the carbon fiber insert here. But getting back to those specs on the knife, let me take a look at the backside here. Yeah, the steel on the blade is the other difference. I'm not sure what to think about this steel yet. I haven't really tried it out on anything. I don't know how much I'm going to use this knife, really, probably very little. It was more just to check it out and kind of get an R.J. Martin feel without having to buy an R.J. Martin, or look and understanding of the knife. But once again, this doesn't exactly match up with his stuff. Not that it would with the difference in the prices of R.J. Martin and the price of a zero tolerance knife. But the steel is interesting. I guess it replaced the B42P, and it's supposed to be, I guess, a better version of that. I'm not exactly sure what that matches up with as far as standard steels that people know, like S30, S35, CPM 154, LMAX M390. I don't know, but it's kind of cool. Seems like an exotic steel. The grind on here, production grind, but it feels fairly sharp, out of the box. And then just to give you an idea as far as the differences, those specs I just gave you, the R.J. Martin one, which is the Q36 that this was based off of, that blade length is only 3 7/8, so just under 4 inches, and this is 4 1/4 as far as the length on the blade. And then blade thickness, I'm not exactly sure. I've seen anything range from 0.16 to 0.175 as far as what the R.J. Martin's actual customs run. So this is a thicker blade stock, which is interesting that ZT wanted to go with a thicker one and have that weight. I don't know if that was to help with the flipping action, to have that weight to swing it around. Because the best way I can explain the flipping action on this is like a pendulum. Not to mean that it's slow in any way, but you feel the blade come around. You feel the weight come down and flip up. It's very smooth. There's no catch on it. It doesn't feel sticky at all. But you have to have your whole finger on the flipper. And we'll get to the flipper in a minute as well. My thoughts on that. Well, we'll get to it right now. Why not? So the flipper does look almost exactly like the flipper that's on the custom R.J. Martins. My problem with it is that it's very slippery. There's no milling in here. There's no jimping on it. And I don't think there is on the Q36 either. But maybe because of the weight of the blade and the detent that's on this, if you're up here, you can easily slip off without catching the flipper. You have to put thought into flipping this knife. So you have to make sure your finger is all the way here. I mean, you can do a push button on this and get it like that, but it's almost easier to put your whole finger in front of it and just rock back, and that's probably the best way to fly this thing out. I don't want to get too lengthy on this video. I just want to, guys, give you the differences between this and the Q36. So the other difference is obviously the blade's longer on this than the main one. The overall length is longer. The overall length on the R.J. Martin Custom is 8 3/4, and this is 9 1/2. The weight, I'm sure, is different. I don't think the weight's listed on R.J. Martin's site on what his are, but it's got to be less than this. The clip is different too, and I actually like that. I like the clip on this knife mainly because it's very easy to get in the pocket. I like how it's up and then perfectly across, same height, parallel to everything, covering over the cutout. And they made the clip match the blade, which is always good in my book. So you have a Stonewash finish on the blade here. And obviously the R.J. Martin design. And then you have the Stonewash finish on the clip. So it all matches. I like the clip and blade to match. I think that's always a nice thing. The other thing that's different is the Q36 has a hole through here for a lanyard. It goes directly through the knife. On this knife, they put it in the back here. So, get that to focus. You actually drop your lanyard through and pull it out. I don't know why they did that, if they had to do it the way that they designed this because of where the different clip on it or how they did the backspacer. But this is the same. The jimping is the same here that's on the R.J. Martin. The backspacer is shorter. On the R.J. Martin, the backspacer goes all the way up to pretty much where just enough space for the flipper to drop down. So this is actually a little bit shorter. There's more area to get through the knife, which for those that want to clean knives, maybe that's a little bit easier for you to get in and blow stuff out, clean stuff out that way. And then a lot of people might say that this looks more like the overkill R.J. Martin than the Q36 because of the design. Most Q36s you guys will see out there are bolsters. So you'll have a titanium bolster or a Damascus bolster, some kind of bolster here, and then this whole piece is a carbon fiber scale. So it's not inlaid, it's here on top of the titanium frame. So this whole piece is carbon fiber or some other type of material, and then a bolster here is zirconium or Damascus or titanium of some type. But actually there are a number of Q36s out there that do an inlay where it is a titanium scale and they put it inlay either carbon fiber or I've seen mother of pearl, other types of translucent or reflective material that they put that R.J. Martin put in there. So it actually isn't that different from the other R.J. Martins. You might see most of the ones you pull up when you do a quick search will show that original type I talked about, but this has definitely been done on Q36s this style. This milling, no, I haven't really seen that, so that was, I guess, zero tolerance's thing to do on here, and I like it. It does give, it's slippery because of the carbon fiber and it is very sleek. It drops in there very nice, but this does give you something to hold on to, and definitely when you're flipping, there you go. That's right there. So those are just the differences, just so you guys are aware of them. And mainly I got the info from R.J. Martin's site and then Blade HQ for the info as far as this goes. I like the blade thickness. I like thicker blades. I think that's cool. I like the action on this. It is not the same action as R.J. Martin from what I have seen, but it does have good action. And like I said, it's kind of that pendulum feel, And the harder you pull it, you can get this thing to fly out quickly. But it's not like where you hear that snap, you hear the click go on a regular R.J. Martin, and it literally goes from here to here, and you don't see anything swish by. It's that fast. It teleports itself across. But if you want a good, solid knife that looks cool, that has the look of an R.J. Martin, the blade is the same kind of shape with the recurve and the drop point here. This handle shape is pretty much the same. The lock bar insert here, all titanium, has the cool exotic steel. I think R.J. Martin's used the S30V on most of his blades. Don't quote me on that, but it's neat stuff that they did on this knife, and it feels very quality. In the hand, it's comfortable. Actually, in reverse grip, it's really neat because this jimping here, your thumb goes right on it, and you're locked in, and you have a lot of reach with this 4 1/4 inch blade. So you have a bigger version of a Q36. So if you like a big blade, if you like a little bit more heft in your EDCs, this is going to give it to you. A little over 7 ounces, and it's very well balanced too because it is a full titanium frame, but you have this large blade, and you can see, right there, right at the pivot, is the balance point on it almost. The lock bar is super easy to unlock. There's no stick on this, and like I said, this came brand new. You can see, no problems. But once again, you have to think and be conscious of putting your full finger on this flipper, or else you are going to slip off and not pull it out. See, there you go. Hit the shirt. But I'll give you a quick little comparison as far as this to another knife, so you can see the size. Here's that and that. So I'll give you two browses to compare it to. So here's your Division, here's your Zero Tolerance 0600 RJ Martin, and here's your Reloader. And you can see it's close to the same overall length as Division. And this blade is a little bit longer than 4¼ inches. This blade is 3½ inches. So, this is pretty much my best flipper as far as fastest out. So we'll get that. And there's that. And there's that, just so you can see the action next to each one. So that gives you your overall length so you can get an idea. And that's pretty much it, guys. I really like this knife. If you're getting this because you want the same action RJ Martin, I don't think you're going to be getting what you want. If you're getting this because you like the look of the RJ Martin Q36 and you like the quality, you want a good knife, you want a big knife, but you want something that's slim but has density to it, this is what you want. It's very smooth. It has the KVT bearings on it. The lockup is good. Quality materials. And this ramping is perfect, how it comes up here. Like I said, both grips work on it. I'm very pleased with it. But once again, depending on the price you pay on this, you could get either of these knives for less money. And these are mid-techs. I have to say I really love my Reloader, and this thing is super smooth. This is like a magnet pulling on it. It comes out and sucks right in. And this thing is just lightning quick. And this is the the blacked out division or blacked out version of the Division. So usually the Cerakoted blades or coated blades actually move slower. So depending on if you even had the satin version of this, it probably flies out faster. But this is good. I'm very pleased with it. It's definitely going to stay in my collection, and you're going to see a couple more vids of other production knives I'm going to get and show them to you. And mainly the ones I ordered are production versions of custom knife makers that I like their design on. I like their name, the prominence of their name and what they've done in the industry. But I most likely will never buy one myself, just because I can't get myself to go past the secondary market price on these as far as the custom versions of the Q36. And I don't love them enough to really, aggressively look for one that I want to get and try to get a price that I could feel comfortable paying for it. Table price on these, as far as the custom versions, I probably might do that, but that's almost impossible to find. So I'm happy with having this in my collection, having fun with it, feeling it's a great quality knife, trying out this new steel, and really getting the look of the knife and having a smooth action moving well-made production knife. So let me know your thoughts. I'm going to get some other knives going, and then eventually when I get pretty much a majority of my production knives in that I've ordered, I'll do an overall view of which ones I like the most and do some cut tests and stuff with them. So thanks a lot. Bye-bye.